Shirley Wade, and I have had about 12 unlawful arrests. Each time I was arrested, I was told that I was trespassing, and I was not trespassing. They were simply trespassing me. And I was basically in jail, and each time I was in jail, they would announce the name Mitchell. And also, they would announce the King Mitchell, as a matter of fact. And I was told by an officer that I was in their um, housing, Hope Atlanta housing program, and that's why I was there in a jail. And my response to her was, there is not a housing program that will want me in jail. There was not a housing program anywhere that would want me in jail. I was in jail all the time innocent. Before you became serial with this Ms. McKean Jordan Mitchell, I was never in jail for anything. Never committed a crime, never will commit a crime. And that's why I told the police the last time I was arrested. I said, you guys know that I am never going to commit a crime. This last time I was arrested was December the 6th, this year, 2018. I was arrested on the ORU campus. I am a former student of Oral Roberts University, and I came here to Tulsa, Oklahoma, went up in the prayer tower and prayed for about an hour, and when I got down to Victory Church, they told me that there was a basketball game, and they told me that there was a play going on across the street. So I was on my way to church across the street when an officer pulled up in a black truck and told me, if you don't get off this campus, I'm going to have you arrested for trespassing. And I said, I just kept reiterating to him. I said, look, I'm a former student here. I'm to go here in January, and I don't understand why I would get arrested at all. And he told me, get off this campus now, or I'm going to have you arrested. So I crossed the street, trying to get over to Victory, and he drove right over onto the Victory lot and waited for me to get there. And so I knew I would be arrested trying to get the church over to Victory. And this would be the third church, in fact, that I had been arrested because of her, and as a result of being in that housing program or whatever. But I was also arrested at the Potter's House. I had did a play at the Potter's House called This Christmas one year, and that year when we had the Mega Fest, I went to the Mega Fest, and that Wednesday I went back up to the church just to see if they were having another play, and I just wanted to know. Also, I wanted to get my DVD for the recording that we did in the play, but I was just trying to see the next thing that we were going to do for the drama ministry. And when I went up there to inquire about that, security guard came outside and met me there, and he had Miller on his name tag. And he said, if you don't get off this church, if you don't leave this church, I'm going to have you arrested for trespassing. And there was a blue vehicle. And I saw somebody in a blue vehicle, and they were ducking like they didn't want me to see them or whatnot. Um, and I just, I was outdone, and so I walked away. I said, okay, I'm going to leave. And I walked away, and each time I would very cooperative with the police, but they would just arrest me anyway. I told him, I'm getting ready to call my ride, and I was on the phone trying to call my ride, and he was just following me around. I'm calling the police right now. So I said, look, I'm leaving. You see me leaving. I've told you several times that I'm going to leave. So I don't understand why the police need to be called. He got on the phone, called the police. Um, the police arrested me anyway. Um, and then another time I was at Bethesda Temple in St. Louis, Missouri. I was to get it to about to be involved with the youth and as a youth leader there, and went up there on a Saturday morning, and about 7 officers surrounded me in the hallway and told me that I would be arrested for trespassing, and they took me, and I was in jail for about 3 weeks. I was also arrested um, in Florissant at the laundromat across the street from Berkeley High School. And I'm a Berkeley Ike. I actually graduated from Berkeley High School, but I'm there in the laundromat just washing my clothes. It was on a Sunday, and they were having a function across the street at Berkeley High School that summer. That were tents and everything up. But anyway, I'm in the laundromat just washing my clothes, and they the police came in and told me that I was trespassing, just doing laundry. And he pulled on my jacket so hard that, and I was just pulling, and he was pulling, and he um, tore off my jacket sleeve. And an unlawful arrest, I basically think that the law should be that you have a right to resist arrest when you're not supposed to be arrested anyway. So he tore my jacket sleeve off, and I was in jail for about 3 weeks. Um, and then I was in Barnes Hospital, where I was arrested twice. I used to work in Barnes Hospital in radiology, um, transcription as a transcriptionist for radiology reports. And I'm just sitting in the waiting room, and an officer surrounded me and told me that um, that I'll be arrested for trespassing if I don't get up. And I was arrested twice at Barnes Hospital. Also, um, I went to Barnes Hospital again and for something, and got checked out for something. And when I got on the phone, the hospital phone, to call my ride, an officer came and snatched the phone off the wall, and they started taking me. They picked me up and took me to the back, and I just kept screaming, Trayvon, Trayvon, because I thought he was going to shoot me or something, but they took me in the back, and they handcuffed me. There were handcuffs on the bed, and they cuffed me all the way down to my ankles. From my arms were handcuffed, and my legs were handcuffed on the bed, and about 12 officers took turns choking me and sticking their thumb in my throat. They were telling me, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. And I was not, just wasn't even talking or saying anything, but let me go, let me go. Um, but this was after I did, it wasn't really spoken word. I was just rhyming. I did sort of freestyle of called "Do You Have to Cuff Me" on YouTube. Because I was just tired of going to jail, and I was at Florissant Valley Community College, and that there was an officer standing in front of me, and I was really afraid that he was going to arrest me or have me arrested for um, being there at the school. And so right on the spot, I did that little rhyme there, and just rhyming, not really doing spoken word or not a rap or anything. But this was after that, and so when they were telling me to shut the fuck up, I thought that they were angry because I had did that to raise awareness about what happened to me. Another time I was in Barnes Hospital, I was sitting in the waiting room again, and about 6 officers surrounded me, and they took me down to the ER, and they put me on the bed with cuffs again. While I'm still in those restraints, a nurse came and started cutting my jeans off of me, and she cut my blazer off of me with scissors, and she totally cut up my clothes, my pants, cut my top up that was under the blazer. My clothes was just cut up. And then they gave me a shot, and when I woke up, I was in the psych ward, and I was in the psych ward for about 2 months. They was talking about some legal thing to get me to stay in the psych ward for that long. There was nothing wrong with me. I wasn't mentally nothing. There was nothing wrong with me at all. But I was just sitting there in the psych ward, just listening to the radio every day, bored and really wanting to get back to my life. And they had some judge on the screen telling me that I had to agree to stay there for 2 months, and just totally unlawful and disrespectful to one in psychology as a psychology major. And there's another unlawful thing that they would do too was another. I was at Barnes about 4 times. This had happened when I was at Barnes Hospital. They would take me to the ground floor. Officers would surround me and take me to the ground floor, and there was wires hanging out of the ceiling, and they would make me sit in a chair and handcuff me to the chair and interrogate me. Um, and it was just crazy. So, and this was in St. Louis, Missouri, where I was born and raised. So I'm literally followed from state to state. Walmart in Atlanta, on Martin Luther King um, Street, I was arrested there, and they told me that actually after I made my purchase, I'm on my way out the door, and an officer came and told me to come in the back, and I didn't know what he was telling me to come in the back for, but I went with him, and he went and showed me. He told me that I was going to be arrested for theft, and I said, I never stole anything in my life. What are you talking about? And so he rolled the cameras back. We watched me make my purchase, and he arrested me anyway. And another time I was arrested, an unlawful arrest, was when I was at Florissant Valley Community College. I was actually talking to counselors at Flo Valley, and I was telling them what was happening to me. I said, look, I've had all these unlawful arrests, and I'm going to need some help, and I'm really trying to, legal aid is giving me the runaround, and I've called the news, and the news won't take my story. I was just telling them and really just trying to reach out to them. I was crying out to them, and there was a big black officer standing there at a podium while I was talking to them. Next thing I knew, um, about 3 white officers came in and arrested me and told me that I was trespassing at my own school again. And this time, um, it was almost fatal. They held me up in the air outside and put me into a ambulance. I was actually cuffed and taken to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, about 7 officers surrounded me. A nurse came and gave me a shot in my backside. And when I woke up, there was a gorge on my neck, and my neck was actually cut open. When I woke up, I was losing bodily fluids, and they were telling me, they had told me that I had actually died during the operation. They had to resuscitate me, and I was just devastated, because when I sing, I hit octaves like Minnie Riperton. I always had a very strong voice, and to operate on my throat like that, they told me that the reason that they operated was because I came in with an abscess. Can you believe that? They said that I had an abscess on my throat. And I said I did not have an abscess on my throat. I didn't even come in here for that. And I didn't come in here for anything. I was forced to come here, and you forced an operation on me. So that was it's just been a nightmare. And that was at coming from Flo Valley College, and an unlawful arrest at Flo Valley College. And I went to Miami-Dade College and got my degree in culinary arts. And my backpack was stolen on the beach. And when my backpack was stolen on the beach, I went back to the campus to get a new ID and got the runaround. And then a female officer, black woman, came out and told me that if you come back to this campus, you're going to be arrested. You're not allowed back on this campus ever again, and you're going to be arrested for trespassing. And another time I had an unlawful arrest was I went to flight attendant training in St. Louis, Missouri, once, and I thought with all of this, but I ended up getting pregnant, so I wasn't able to do it. This was 12 years ago. But with all of this that had happened to me, I thought maybe I should, now that my child is older, this is something that I could do for us. Go back to flight attendant training. So I went to back home to St. Louis, and I applied for the Spirit airline, and I went up to Lindbergh, and I went to up to see the recruiter. Well, officers, after I was dropped off there, officers met me there and arrested me for, guess what, trespassing. And they tried to, I told them, look, I'm here to see the recruiter for flight attendant training. He was trying to force me to give him the name of the recruiter and saying that he was arresting me if I don't give him that information and all that kind of stuff. It was just really,
really ugly. And the scariest thing about him is his name tag was Stringman, Officer Stringman. Um, but I spent um, about 3 weeks in jail there, and I was arrested. Everybody saw me get arrested off of South Beach on Memorial Day at night around 8, after 8 p.m. Everybody witnessed it. I'm sitting down drinking a soda in front of Fat Tuesdays, and um, the officers came and told me um, in front of a large crowd that I was the only one trespassing. Um, just told me, get up or you're going to be arrested for trespassing. And they manhandled me, scratched up my arms and my face, and held me in the air like I was cattle or something. Just held me in the air, put me in a prison van, and drove me to uh, jail. And um, they lied and said that I hit them, and um, they also lied about the location of the arrest. The police reports read that I got arrested in front of Mango's. I did not get arrested in front of Mango's. I got arrested in front of Fat Tuesdays, and they were charging me with battery of a Leo, and I did not batter the police officers. Um, they were saying they was going to give me 5 years in prison for hitting them, and was just a lie. And the judge had put me in a jail diversion program and said that they will monitor me for a year. They put me in a rehab for about 8 months called Agape. They put me in a psych ward for 3 months, and then told me that I had to be in a jail diversion program for a year, where I have to go to court once a month, and I have been doing that. Um, and they lied and told me that I could not leave Miami, Florida. Um, am I a native there? I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. And they told me that I could not leave Miami, Florida, or I would get arrested. All these things that are against the law, that are, you know, um, against you if you're a law official, trying to um, basically do someone um, in that nature. And another lawful arrest that I had was in St. Louis, Missouri, when I tried to get a restraining order because I had talked to a counselor, and her suggestion was that I would get a restraining order against uh, an officer, and the King's mission to do all this to me over and over again. And so I went down to the courthouse in St. Louis, Missouri, and to get the restraining order. And about 6 or 7 officers surrounded me. They snatched the restraining order papers out of my hand. They took me to the ground, and they um, they took me down to the ground floor and put me in a cell for hours. I was just there for hours, and they I said, look, I'm here to get a restraining order, and I need to get one as soon as possible. And they said, well, you can't get one today. You can come back down here another day, but you can't get one today. And I said, why are you guys doing this? And they said, do you know Karen Wade? I said, yes, that's my aunt. So what does that have to do with anything? And they just, they ended up releasing me that day. Thank God. But all of this is a violation of my rights, and I don't know where they get some of their judges from either. I mean, their policemen are as warped as some of these judges. The judge at the jail diversion program in Miami told me at the very beginning of the court day that I was not allowed to say anything about the case, anything about what happened, that I just need to come to court once a month, every month, and just kind of like, report to them or whatever. And my lawyer was calling the police the victim, and just really lying, and saying that I had a felony, because also prior to that arrest in South Beach, the summer before that, I had got arrested on the bus. I am coming from Everton Mall. I was in Everton Mall where this guy, he looked so much like Tyler Perry. I thought he was him. I was so excited when I saw him, and then he looked at me and he said, if you don't get out this mall, you're going to be arrested for trespassing. And I said, this is so unbelievable. And so I left the mall and got on the bus. And while I was on the bus, two officers, the bus driver drove off. He pulled off, went some ways from the mall, and then he stopped, and two officers got on the bus and said, if you don't get off this bus, we're going to arrest you for trespassing. It was 10 o'clock at night, so I really didn't want to get off the bus. And so I told them, no, I'm not going to get off the bus. What are they going to do, have me walking down the street, or, you just going to put me in a police car from a bus ride? So he tased me like you wouldn't believe. I was tased about 5 times, and they put me in a correction facility, TGK, Miami-Dade jail, for about 6 months. It was 6 months. I was in there from June to 2 days before Christmas. And my lawyer in the jail diversion program was saying that I had a felony for that because, she's just, I don't know, ignorant. But that I did not have a felony for that. I went to court, and the judge said she actually she told me that I had no misdemeanor, I had no felony, but she said that I need to pay a fine of $4,000 and something. And just so ridiculous, because now I got to pay the police for whooping my ass, because they basically did so much to me on that bus. And I was yelling when I got, they pulled my wig off my head, and told, and I was just running down. I was not running, but I was in the middle of the street because the officers met up with other officers, and they were really treated me like I was a criminal, and just, get your hands away from your pockets, get your hands away from your pockets. I thought I was going to be shot, so I just started yelling, Trayvon, Trayvon, Mike Brown, Mike Brown. And, it was just, I don't know. I told the police officer when he tased me, though, I said, look, I'm pregnant, just to get him to stop, and he said, oh, we'll see about that. And they took me to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, they put me in the hospital bed, cuffs all on the bed again, cuffing me from my arms all the way down to my legs. And then a man came in. He wasn't even in didn't even have on scrubs or anything. He had on jeans and a black shirt, and he gave me a shot. Um, but I sat in that jail cell literally rotting for 6 months. And in the jail, while I was in the jail, they had I'm sitting in there for about maybe on the third or fourth day. I'm sitting in the cell when these nurses came in with these masks or something on their faces. It looked like a space suit or something. What she had on, and I was so afraid. I said, "What are you doing?" And they pulled me out of the cell and they put me in a chair and handcuffed me to the chair, and then they put a mask over my face, my head, my whole head and my face, and they were choking me with the mask, and then they gave me a shot. And I said, "What kind of procedure is this? And what are you doing to me? What is?" And they never said a word. They just put me back in the cell, and so that was just really really horrific. And I'll never forget um, the last time I was arrested. Um, Not the last time I was arrested, but when I was arrested from South Beach. Um, there was one of the officers was telling me, uh, um, never mind, but it's so much, so horrific. Jail is a place that is not for me, and I just can't believe that I have had this type of injustice happen to me, because I had every right to be every place that I went. I've had every right to be there. Um, I wasn't. I told the officers, what's the difference between me and everybody else here? Even when I was at the mall. I'm up there where the movie um, theater was, and about to see a movie, and so it just doesn't make sense. Um, I mean, I just want justice. I want justice, and I want judges and lawyers everywhere to know about what happened to me, Shirley Jean Wade. Um, I want them to know that I am innocent, and I am seeking help. Um, and I would like you judges to see uh, my state uh, officials on this. Um, you know, it's just it's horrific. It's a nightmare.
before we became serial with this, like I said, I had never had an arrest. Never been arrested before in my life. And then you say that she tries to go on to church on Christmas, have her arrested because Victory is the Potter's house. Victory is like the Potter's house, and that's really sad of her. That's really sad of them. But I'm not gonna allow these people to isolate me from my churches and from school. Um, I'm just not. And I'm going to continue to go to Victory Church. I'm going to continue to go to the Potter's house. Uh, if they need me, when they need me, call for me to be in the drama ministry again, or sing or do anything. I'm going to do what I'm called to do, and I'm not going to let anybody stop me. Um, my play, um, I raised awareness about this called Cuffs, and I wrote another play called Black Butterfly, which, everybody knows Denise Williams sings that. My birthday is the same birthday as Denise Williams, June the 3rd. And I tell everybody to have a universal lawyers conference on campuses and churches on June the 3rd concerning um, institutional abuse and unlawful arrest, and also um, murder um, in a jail cell, and um, murders like what happened with Trayvon and what happened with Mike Brown. And there's been so many um, names that we can't even mention, but and also children that are unlawfully put in the system. If you know someone out there, you don't do drugs, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't have a mental problem, and you lost a child in the system anyway based on slander, that kind of thing um, is cause for a lawyers conference, and we want judges there, we want lawyers there, and I invite Judge Mathis and Judge HATCHETT there. Those are my two favorite judges in the whole wide world, and really um, are asking the saints to pray for me all over the U.S. and globally. We want a worldwide, global conference. I'm just saying college campuses everywhere, churches everywhere on June the 3rd. I was born June the 3rd, 1972. And I am Shirley Wade on Facebook. And also soon to be Jediah Ways on Facebook as well. But I do this basically. Um, y'all out there know that I'm basically holding it down for Tigers Only, um, which is basically our mission to stop the king and these officers and these people for arresting me and others, whoever else could be going through this kind of thing. So continue to pray for me and pray for anyone out there that you know that is experiencing this kind of thing. Love my people. For Tigers Only. Shirley J. Wade.